You can know the work and still lose the marks. Grade 11 CAT learners, you can know how to use Word, Excel, Access and HTML and still lose marks in your practical test. Not because you don't understand the work, no, but simply because you missed one instruction, used the wrong feature, or worked in the wrong view, or even forgot to save the correct file. And the painful part? Well, these are usually the easy marks. Now in today's video, I'm going to be explaining what you should expect in your Term 3 practical assessment, which areas you need to revise on, and the mistakes that commonly cost you learners marks. And stay until the end of the video because I'm going to give you a final submission checklist that could save you several marks during the test. Now before we continue, remember that this is not going to be a full practical demonstration. For that, you can go and check out any of our previous live sessions that we have hosted on the channel, going through all the applications and the important skills that you need to know step by step. This video is your exam briefing. This is designed to make sure that when you sit down in front of that computer, you understand what we as the examiners are asking you to do. Based on the Term 3 papers that I've previously looked at, moderated, prepared, etc., you should be examined and tested on Word, Mail Merge, Excel, Access and HTML. These are the main skill areas that you should revise. And as always, make sure that you are subscribed to Education with Mr. Hambury and switch on those notifications. Go and do it now so that you don't miss out any of our upcoming videos and live sessions. Now, as we go through this video, please keep one question in mind. Which application worries you? Word, Excel, Access, or HTML? And at the end of the video, you can let me know in the comments. Now, having said that, the very first skill you need is not Word, Excel, or Access. It's actually learning how to read a practical question. In CAT, 1 mark is normally awarded for 1 required action. So when you see a 4-mark question, there are usually 4 separate things that the examiner expects you to do. For example, imagine that the instruction says, insert the date as a field, format it as day, full month and year, and right align it in the header. These are 4 separate actions. Now you could type the world's most beautiful date, the world's most beautiful font, but the question asked for a field, and the examiner is not going to simply award a sympathy mark. No. Before starting a question, identify the command words and count the required actions. So as you complete each action, mentally tick it off. Also, look at the mark allocation before you begin. A 1-mark task should not take you 10 minutes. A 5-mark task probably contains several separate instructions, even when they are written inside one paragraph. So let's begin with Microsoft Word. Now in Word, you should prepare for more than your basic font formatting and paragraph alignment. Like we know the basics already. Term 3, what happens now is we start including things like automatic document features, such as table of contents, captions, footnotes, citations, source management, and your bibliography. This means you need to be comfortable with reference tools. Now, one of the biggest traps is manually typing something into Word when it's supposed to generate automatically. CAT does not only assess what the final document looks like, it checks to see whether you can actually use the correct feature. Now, the same principle applies to captions, citations, bibliographies, page numbers, dates, and other fields. Here's a sample question. A heading is missing from the table of contents. What do you go and check first? Do you check A, the font color, B, the page border, C, the line spacing, or D, the heading style and heading level? Well, we know at this stage the answer is the heading style or heading level. Why? Because an automatic table of contents uses heading styles to determine which headings must appear. Before submitting your Word document, update your fields. Then you can check the table of contents. You can check page numbers. You can check dates, check captions. What I'm trying to say is just check your references. And make sure that you've saved the document using the exact file name required in the paper. It's very important. Now just please remember, you don't have to memorize every menu location right now. I know some of you love using that search bar on top. But you do need to recognize what the question is asking of you. Otherwise, what are you going to search for? Anyway, the next one is mail merge. Let's just quickly talk about mail merge. Now, mail merge has two personalities. How many? Two personalities. You have the main document, and then you have the document that's created at the end, the one that is the completed merged document. They are connected, but they are not the same file. This is extremely important. And this is what we see in every exam paper, even up to matric level. You have to save the merged result document separately. And here's just a tip from Mr. H. Do yourself a favor, once you're done with the merge, close everything and go and open those two documents and make sure it displays correctly. Now let's move on to your absolute favorite. Oh no, wait, that's Access. Let's move on to your favorite now, Microsoft Excel. Now, Excel, again, is not only about formulas. It's about being able to read a sentence and recognize which function actually matches the instruction. So, let me test you. I'm going to read you an instruction, and let's see if you can name the function before I reveal the answer. If I ask you to count the number of reporters who are from South Africa, what are you going to do? Which formula are you going to use? That's right, you're going to use a count if. Count plus a condition normally points you to a count if. Let me give you another one. Calculate the total number of articles read by reporters from New Zealand. What's this one? Sum if. So add plus a condition normally points you to sum if. Now please bear in mind, Excel is very friendly until one missing bracket ruins your entire afternoon. So know your functions, things like count if, sum if, as well as your percentage calculations, copying down the formulas, absolute cell referencing, and other formatting tasks. In addition, know formulas like large, count blank, round, and average. And don't forget your chart formatting. Now here's something I want to touch on quickly. Before copying a formula down, always ask, should every reference move? I mean, imagine that one cell contains a fixed value such as a percentage, price, or exchange rate. Now when you copy the formula down, that reference may need to remain fixed in place. And this is where we use absolute cell referencing. Without the dollar signs, the reference may move down the worksheet like it has packed its bags and decided to start a new life. Just always keep in mind that Excel questions award separate marks for things like choosing the correct function, selecting the correct range, using the correct criteria, applying absolute cell referencing, then copying the formula down correctly, and formatting the answer correctly as well. Typing the answer into the cell will normally not earn the formula marks. So please check the formula bar before moving on. And speaking of moving on, here's your friend, Microsoft Access. So let's get into Microsoft Access. Now, Access questions do become much easier when you actually use the correct view. So make sure you're in the correct view, whether it's datasheet view or design view. So datasheet view is where my records are displayed. Design view is where I'm busy with the structure. Now Access has several views because apparently one screen was not enough drama for you. Anyway, you should also understand the difference between the field size and the field format. Now the field size controls how much data can be stored, whereas the format controls how the value is displayed. You should understand the difference between a validation rule and a validation text. The validation rule controls what the user may enter, whereas the validation text is the warning message shown when the user breaks the rule. A primary key uniquely identifies each record. And when choosing a primary key, look for a field containing a unique value, normally things like your ID field. So term 3 is going to include things like report creation, report formatting, calculated controls, averages, field sizes, and primary keys. The longer papers also test suitable data types, validation rules, text, default values, combo boxes, and queries using several criteria. Speaking of which, when working with a query, you need to check these 4 things. Number 1, which fields must appear? Number 2, which criteria must be applied? Number 3, must the results be sorted? And number 4, are the criteria meant to work as and or conditions? Criteria placed on the same criteria row generally work together as an and condition. Criteria placed below one another on separate lines will link to a or condition. For reports, pay attention to the exact section named in the question. Report header, page header, detail, report footer. These are not interchangeable. If the question asks for an average of all records, that calculation will normally belong in the footer section, not beside one individual record. And then lastly, my favorite, HTML. Now, HTML is very honest. Very honest. Why do I say that? Because it does exactly what you tell it to do. When working with HTML, use a proper text editor. Now, I know some of you use Notepad, some of you are going to use Notepad++. It really doesn't matter as long as you have the code there and you can work with it. Keep the numbered question comments unless the paper specifically tells you to remove them. You know, the comments that are in the code themselves, leave it there. Save the file regularly and refresh the browser. You know my 3 steps? File, save, refresh. Then you want to inspect the result. For images, check both the image source and the alternative text. If the image does not appear, check the file name. Check the file extension. And I don't want to have to say this, but check the spelling. The rest that you'll end up finding in term 3 are things like changing or modifying the browser title, alternative image text, image sources, your horizontal line, width and size, headings, italics, lists, and comments. And then as we come to the end of this video, let's talk about time management. Now, a practical assessment or practical exam is not only testing your computer skills. What is it doing? It's testing whether you can work accurately under pressure. And so what you'll find this time is you should have a 50-mark paper and you should be given 60 minutes in which to complete it. Please don't allow one difficult 1-mark task to consume 10 minutes. At the beginning of the assessment, check that all the required files are present. Your teacher will usually go through this with you. Make sure that the file's open. Make sure that it's exactly as we see on the question paper. Read through the paper quickly. Then you begin working. And please save early. Save regularly. If one task is stopping your progress, move on, let it go, and return to do it later. And now here we are with your final submission checklist. Okay, so you can screenshot this list, write it down, or replay it before you walk into that assessment. Number 1, check every file name. A perfectly completed file with a wrong name may be difficult to identify or mark. Number 2, check the folder location. Please make sure that every completed file is inside the required folder. Number 3, save every open document. Number 4, update all the Word fields. Check the table of contents, page numbers, dates, citations, and references. Number 5, confirm that both mail merge documents exist. The main document and the completed merge document, and they open and they both work. Number 6, inspect your Excel formulas in the formula bar. Number 7, run your Access queries and open your reports. Please don't assume that a query works simply because you saved it. Number 8, save and refresh your HTML page. Check the browser output, not just the code. Number 9, as you breeze through everything, check for unanswered questions. Attempt whatever you can before your time runs out. And then number 10, if time allows, close everything and reopen all of those files. Make sure that they are still open correctly. And that's how we get to this point where we save, check, and submit. Remember that your practical assessment task is not designed to trick you into failure. No, it's an opportunity to show that you can actually use the tools that you've been practicing for the last 3 terms. Read carefully, count the actions, use the correct features, and please people, save correctly. And remember, don't forget to go check out our previous live sessions where we went through all of these things with the grade 11 groups. Make sure that you are subscribed to Education with Mr. Hambury. Switch on those notifications if you haven't done so that you know exactly when our new videos are coming out and live sessions as well. And like I asked you right at the beginning of the video, I want you now to leave a comment telling me the application that you fear most, or the one that you're worried about most. Is it Word? Is it Excel? Is it Access or HTML? And all the best grade 11s, and I'll see you in the next video.